but if I don't work out, I'm just not, I'm off. Not a good human. Um, easily agitated, the whole thing. I'm sure like anyone who gets in that routine feels the same way. Like you're just missing something. And so for me, the physical activity, working out, getting a good sweat in, like that is the way that I set myself up for success. And that's both physically and mentally. It just gets me in the right headspace to go after the day. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Go All In podcast. I'm Braxton Cave.
I'm Jake Fine, and today we're going to break down some things that keep us locked in, disciplined, and on track. Basically, it's the power of routine. So we're going to go over, 11 habits that we follow every single day in the evening. And obviously, his are going to be different than mine. First, hold on, before I dig in. Obviously, we have new scenery here. We're at a new spot.
New vibes.
So, we're still tweaking a little of the lighting here, but this is the new spot we're doing the podcast at, so it's a little different scenery for you. So, I wanted to get that out the way. But
Jake is the ultimate lighting guy. I don't know anything. I think it looks great.
So far, it'll get there.
We'll change the mojo up a little bit.
Yeah, there's gonna be added stuff
in here for now. A little decor.
There's going to be added stuff. Every episode will probably know something different.
Now they have to watch.
Yeah.
Be like, where's
Curious.
Waldo? What's different?
Mm-hmm. And if you figure it out, you get something.
Yeah, you get a prize. You get a sweatshirt.
Yeah. Anyway, you had 11 habits that power the routine that I do. Like the night before, I plan my routine the night before. I plan my day out. I plan like the outfits I'm gonna wear for the gym, what I wear for the day for work. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing you were taught to do by your parents when you're in school. I feel like success starts before the day even begins. And every night I take about 15 to 20 minutes, plan my day out, what I have. I even look at what workout I'm gonna do for the day, and then my day at work is pretty much the same thing. It's the same routine. But yeah, that's the first thing I do in the evening. And then when I get up in the morning, I usually go into like hydrating myself. But we'll dig into that. What do you do for your number?
Well, I mean, you're way more detailed.
Oh, I'm very detailed. Yeah.
I mean, I'm usually...
You're going to notice that.
I mean, I'm usually digging through the dryer, whatever, hopefully Natalie, I usually throw my clothes in the wash after I work out. Natalie dries and does the rest of it. So I'm usually digging through and trying to find workout clothes in the mornings. But to me, it starts the night before. Mm-hmm. Before I go to bed every night, I'm looking at my calendar, seeing what I have on the agenda for that day, making sure that I'm writing things down in my notebook that I need to accomplish the next day. And then for me, it's the mindset of, forward thinking, backwards planning. So when I know what my first meeting is of the day, I kind of work my way back from there. So obviously I'm going to get up at 5. I'm going to get my workout in, be with Natalie and the kids, get ready for the school day. But then I know that there's a certain time that's a cutoff for me. Mm-hmm. And so as long as I know that the night before, I can always step into that next morning, setting myself up for success. Let's jump into number 2 here, and that's starting your day with purpose. For me, you got one of the biggest things that you have to realize is what gets you out of bed every morning. Mm-hmm. And I think that a note I took down here was that if you haven't figured that out yet, I think it's time to do some of that the hard work of figuring out what that is. Mm-hmm. For me, that's so easy. I mean, it's my family. I was just having a conversation with a guy at the gym this morning, and I was kind of busting on him, telling him that he needed to lift heavier weight. I said, your son's chasing you. And, that's one of the things that really motivates me, having, 2 younger boys. Like, dad always wants to be the guy. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, my purpose in life is to provide, you know, an incredible life for my family and be able to allow them, you know, the experiences that they'll remember for a lifetime. And that's my why. That's my purpose. That's what gets me out of bed every single morning.
Mm-hmm. Well, first things first, mine is don't hit the snooze button when my alarm goes off. I mean, I've been getting up at 3:15 naturally for 17 plus years because of the RV, and my body's so, you know, immune to it. I don't even need the alarm sometimes. So that's like the main thing. First thing, don't hit snooze. You know, I get up knowing exactly what I need to do, whether it's a workout, which that's when I usually work out, is first thing in the morning before I go into work. And I remind myself why I'm doing it. And, you know, with my brand that I'm building, that's another thing, you know, I got to set a standard.
Right.
Because
you wore the right shirt today for that.
Yes, I did. That's from Ben Newman, by the way. Yeah, if I don't have a purpose behind the actions that I'm taking with my brand and what I'm doing, there's no point in, you know, promoting my brand that I'm not even taking action from, right. You know, living the standard from it.
Right.
So that's like the big thing that I focus on. And I feel like if you live with that standard and you want to better yourself every single day, it's like, dude, I mean, there's no stopping anybody. You know, if you have that mindset and just keep going, I just don't see how people can be complacent, you know, and, but yeah, that's my purpose. First thing when I get up every day, it's like, that's the first thing I want. How can I better myself? How can I better my brand? And, yeah, that's every single day. That's what I think about. But,
which leads nicely into number 3.
Yeah. I mean, moving your body first thing in the morning. First thing, obviously, when I get out of bed, I just go straight to the kitchen. I mean, obviously, I'll let Sophie out first because she's right beside me. She's a morning dog. First thing, she goes out. I'll make my Nature's Gatorade. I've posted this before. Bryce Harper's also, you know, shared this a lot on TikTok and on his page. And basically, I mean, if you guys want the recipe, I have it. I just DM me and I can send it over to you. But it's pretty easy. It's just coconut water. You squeeze some lemon into it, add some salt. You can add honey to it, which I haven't done that yet. But I feel like it's a lot better. I also add a salt packet too sometimes before I work out. But it's like, I feel like it's better than having a cup of coffee. But yeah, first things, hydrate. You know, at least 16 ounces of water, and right before I go to the gym, get that movement going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's for me, same thing, same routine. To me, it's taking care of number 1, right? Taking care of yourself.
Yep.
You know, a lot of people go back and forth on the whole physical health, mental health. And for me, as long as I'm doing the physical, the mental follows with that.
Yep.
And I mean, Natalie can elaborate on this, you know, sometime when she comes on the podcast. But if I don't work out, I'm off. Not a good human. You know, easily agitated, you know, the whole thing. I'm sure like anyone who gets in that routine feels the same way. Like you're just missing something. And so for me, the physical activity, working out, getting a good sweat in, like that is the way that I set myself up for success. And that's both physically and mentally. It just gets me in the right headspace to go after the day. You know, number 4 here, you know, hydrate and fuel your body. You know, you just touched on that. For me, again, going back to forward thinking, backwards planning. You know, Sunday for Natalie and I is meal prep day. You know, we typically get 3 to 4 days prepped out. And then we'll have to do something midweek.
Yep.
To play catch up. Just to try and keep the food fresh. But 2, I mean, it's a lot of food to prep out, you know, for the both of us. And so, you know, we do that. Hydration's key. You know, we've been on the Element train for a long time. So, you know, doing the electrolyte packets from Element have been crucial for us, you know, whether it's through the workouts or, you know, avoiding any type of illness. I mean, it's played a huge role.
I want to throw another one at you. Look at Waterboy. We do Waterboy packets. We do both. I feel like Element is like top tier, but one of the guys from the HRT clinic mentioned Waterboy to me, and we got that, and I was like, wow, these taste amazing. Like strawberry lemonade? Yeah, phenomenal.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to switch it up, I know you guys probably have a subscription, but if you want to change it up one time, try them out. I highly recommend them. Those are the two we usually go with. But yeah, hydration is key. And I feel like a lot of people, they, salt's bad. Salt's bad for it. No, it is not. And, it's like we're all taught, drinking just straight water. You got to understand that's flushing everything, all your minerals, everything out of your body.
Right.
And
especially like, I go through, I do quite a bit of intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
And so, that's a very quick way to dehydrate yourself. And so that plays a huge role. And then again, the amount of water we drink in a day, like water, we all know water can get pretty boring.
Yeah.
And makes it kind of hard to choke it down. I think once you add a little something to it, it makes it a lot easier.
Agreed. I mean, they have all those flavors. What is it? The Mio flavor? You know what I'm talking about? They're like Mio.
The Mios.
Yeah. They have that, and I've never done them before. I just love water.
Yeah.
I'm just so used to. I do. But going into mindset work, feeding your brain. I've been going back and forth. Sometimes I end my night reading, but I've been doing it in the morning. And if basically it's when I have extra time, I'm like, okay, I'm going to read my 10 pages, since for 75 hard. And some mornings I start doing it in the morning. It's like I like doing that. It's like nice switching up a little bit, but it's also nice to do in the evening too, because it unwinds you down in bed and keeps you away from your phone. And but yeah, feeding your brain it's a muscle as well. You gotta train that thing. And
right.
I like to some days I'll throw on YouTube on my phone and play it through my speakers in my car and listen to like Motiversity, motivation. I'll send you some sometimes. I usually listen to that on the way to work, or I'll listen to our podcasts or Andy's podcast on the way to work. But yeah, I mean, you got to feed the brain, man. You can't leave that out.
Yeah. I mean, I used to only listen to music in the car. And then now, like if Natalie and I are driving together, or if the kids are with me, we play music. The kids love music and singing along. But if I'm riding solo, like I'm not listening to music. I have on an ebook, a podcast, YouTube, something to constantly be learning. And I also love the idea of just it gives you the ability to habit stack, right? So you're able to do more than one thing, for yourself at once. And the other key thing that I think plays into this, because we all have some sort of addiction to social media. If you go to your Explore page, what's it showing?
Yep.
Is it uplifting stuff that's feeding you new information and things that are making you better? Or is it, goofy stuff?
I think I can add to this because
that's to me, like, again, social media can be a blessing and a curse.
Yep.
You have right in your hands the ability to learn so much, but it also can turn into scrolling and crazy stuff too.
Yeah, I can add to that because I recently cleared my whole Explore page and basically started just going through like stuff that I want to see, like content creation, entrepreneurs, talking their stuff, and then motivation. That's like basically my feed, and like some baseball stuff and like hitting drills and stuff like that for her kid. And but yeah, that's like main Explore page and that I do. It's like you control your Instagram. You can control whatever you want. And I mean, Instagram you can learn quite a bit. It's just like TikTok as well. You can control what you see and what you learn off of that too. But yeah, I recently did that, and there's positives and there's negatives, because the negative thing I've noticed is your views go down. So I'm trying to figure that part out too, but that's another thing to, I could go into that
Yeah.
all day about that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, going to number 6 here, your non-negotiable, your work block. Do you have like a set time in the evening that you don't look at your phone? That's the thing about mine. I have to, and that's why I set like times like, okay, I need to get this posted, because you can see what times to post for, like for my brand and like for personal page. But do you have like a set time? Do you?
So it's different. I mean, I set up time blocks within my work schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise I'll just go back to backs all day long, and then I never get an opportunity to actually get anything done that I need to. And so for the longest time, I fell into the trap of like just filling my calendar from the start of the day to the finish, with meetings and one-on-one and all these things, right? Because you just feel like, well, if my calendar's packed, then I'm obviously doing something, accomplishing things. Not the case. And so every day I have at least 2 time blocks in there, just depending on what's going on. It could be an hour, it could be 2 hours, just to get stuff done. As far as, that's just in my work time. When I get home, I talked about this before, like Natalie's really good about being on me about, from the time I walk in the door to the time we get the kids in bed, put the phone away.
Yep.
And again, the Garmin's been helpful for me for that, of being able to, get updates, or if something's going on. If there is a 911, obviously I can go get my phone. But taking the time to prioritize family and put the phone away has been, so that, 2 to 3 hour time block of intentional family time is a big deal around here.
I know you could chime in about this, about your
What
your
work block?
non-negotiable work block. Yeah, because you're the same as him.
I'm very, when I work, like the night before, I always look at my calendar and put my meetings, and I usually fill the first 2 hours of the day of what I need to do. So like from 8 to 10, but I usually block out, because I'm really the only one on East Coast time. Everyone's mostly Central time. So I usually block out 8 to 10 to just knock out a bunch of stuff. So, because I know when everyone starts getting on, meetings start and whatnot. So that 2 hours is pretty much my time, but I do everything in 2 hour blocks. I have my to-do list, and then I fill in. Sometimes things don't get done, I have to move it. But instead of being overwhelming of everything I need to do, I do that 2 hour block. I'm very good at it at work. Sometimes work overpowers it, and they just schedule over it. But I know I need to do better at home. There was a while where I did just put my phone away, but I got to work on that.
The phone gets you.
It will.
It does. It's a distraction. But I mean, with what I'm doing, I set myself times. I'm like, okay, do this for a little bit, and you make your videos, and then, save them and so on, and then do some editing, but it's just so much screen time. It's unreal, But yeah, non-negotiable work block. I try to unwind, by 8 o'clock, and just plan my day and then hopefully be in bed by 9, 10 o'clock, which very rarely does happen. But yeah, it's so hard to. I think this is like one of the toughest things in the routine. Is this. But going into number 7?
Number 7.
Commit 100%, no plan B. Going all in. I mean, no backup plan, no half effort. Operate like there's no other option but success. You find a way to make it happen. If you're going to give yourself an out, you'll take it every time. Burn the boats.
Right.
And fully commit.
Yeah, I mean, people have been asking me this my whole life. Like, Braggs, had you not gotten a scholarship to Notre Dame to play football, what would you have done? I'm like, that wasn't an option.
Yeah. Yep.
Not necessarily Notre Dame, but like getting a football scholarship and playing was not that was the only thing in my mind that I was going to do. And then same thing, once I got to Notre Dame, it was like, Braggs, what if you wouldn't have made it to the NFL? I'm like, never thought about it. Like in the back of my mind, yes, did I know I was getting a degree from the University of Notre Dame and that I would figure it out? Yeah, but that was exactly it. I'll figure it out. And it's no different now in what I do for work. It's, there's been times where you start looking at these other things, and it's all it is a distraction. I like the visual of you take a lion, put 2 pieces of meat on each side of them, right? Like, where do you go, right? It's focus on one thing at a time and devour that, and then move on to the next thing. And for me, it's just like I don't operate like that. Natalie, that's one thing that, Natalie has to temper me on is like just the go all in mindset of like when I commit to something, like that's it, for good or for bad, like that's it. And if it doesn't work out, then I'll pivot and figure it out after that. But to sit there and, go half in on one thing and half in on another is not going to get me anywhere.
Yep.
When it's all said and done.
That's with anybody. And you said it already, pivot if you have to do something else, then yeah, obviously you do pivot.
Yeah, I mean, you learn, you pivot, you grow, and you continue on. I mean, there's no other option.
I've done it numerous times, Yeah, I mean, it goes right into number 8, build in reflection and adjustments. At some point in my day, I take a step back. I've done this a couple times. I've actually had, we said past episode that, the test days and taking that step back and evaluating and taking a deep breath. And usually during my outdoor ruck is usually when I have this, a reflection time and what I think about, what went good for the day, what I need to work on, and, going from there. And I feel like, if you're just grinding without checking in, you're missing opportunities to improve.
Right.
Growth comes from adjustments, not just effort.
Right.
So
I mean, you look at, to me, this is a 2-part, the reflection piece and then the adjustment piece. I think the adjustment piece is something that I do really well. The pivot, right?
Yeah.
It's you learn, you fail, you pivot, you move on, you just continue that cycle. The reflection piece is probably my weakest. I talked about this before. Natalie reminds me often of like, you have to take a step back and reflect on the things that you have accomplished. And I'm not good at that. So having a partner who does a good job of reminding me of that is very helpful. But me, myself, like that's where I struggle the most, especially like, with our journal we're using, right? Doing the weekly reflection. It's like, I dread doing that. I hate it because I'm like, the week's over. Like I'm on
to the next.
Let's keep going. And whatever adjustments I had to make during that week, I've already made them. And so I struggle with doing the look back. So
I'm kind of with you. Like with the journaling part too, it's like, that is like the hard thing to do. Like I know she's done it. I've tried to do it. It's very hard for me to do, just to write out, just anything. But yeah, I'm with you on that.
What's crazy is like, I've told you before, like I've kept a journal for a long time, but I still to this day find myself like questioning what I write in it. 'Cause I'm like, oh my God, like what if someone finds this, like they find the crazy stuff that's in my head, and it shouldn't be that way. Right.
Yeah.
I think it's that part of like
your diary,
you care
like your
what
diary?
other people think about you.
Yeah.
People say all the time, like, you shouldn't care what other people think. Like, there's certain things I really don't care what other people think. But at the end of the day, we're all looking for like recognition, and approval from certain people. And so I think there's just something about that when it comes to journaling that makes it tough.
Don't think, just do. That's right?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
We watched
Were you
Maverick.
referencing that from?
Maverick.
Yes.
Not Top Gun 2.
No.
Maverick. I just have to, a little thing, I'm very opposite. I'm not good at pivoting. I'm good at reflecting.
Teach me.
I don't like change. I don't like pivoting is very, like it has to take something major for me to be like, no. And to kind of go back with like the commitment, I was taught I had to try something. If I was going to sign up, I had to do it for 1 full year, no matter what. If I hated it, too bad. You committed. So at least a year. One time there was something that I was on dance team, but I did theater as well. And I literally had to have a presentation to my parents on why I had to quit the dance team so I could do the play. It worked well. I got the lead in the play. But that was one of those, like, it was a big, long discussion. It wasn't a very easy decision. So that's how I was brought up. But the reflection part, when I get to a pivot or get to a crossroads, I have to look back and go, wow, I've been the Red Robin at, the character. I've come from there, and I've been a VP, looking at different things of like, I was an intern here, just the different things I've done in life of, I can't believe I did that, and here I am today. And so I like to look at those things and reflect. And so when I'm like, I feel like I've done nothing, well, you've come a long way from being the bird at Red Robin. So, anything is possible. But yeah, the pivot's very hard for me. So we can all learn from each other.
For sure.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about morning routine. What about evening wind down routine? What's that look like for you? That's number 9.
I do my ruck at night. I like ending pretty close before bedtime, doing that in the evening. Sometimes I'll do it a little bit earlier, and then because if I know I have to make some videos or edit some clips or anything like that, I try to do that in the evening as well. But yeah, that's usually what I do in my evenings, and then I'll plan my next day, and then I'll slowly start unwinding and getting ready for bed, and then usually, like I said before, I usually end the night, reading, and then, yeah, man. I mean, staring at a book for a little bit, my eyes get heavy real quick. That's the thing. Another thing about reading, man. I have to read it a few times too, but yeah, in the evening, that slowly calms me and relaxes me when I'm reading, and then, dude, I'm out after that. But yeah, that's usually how my evening is.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it looks like, getting home, putting the phone away. We do dinner as a family. The kids right now are in a phase where they love playing either soccer or football downstairs at our house. So we'll usually get after it doing that for a little bit, and then our bedtime routine with them. And then after that, it just kind of depends on where the day's at. It could be going out to do a ruck. It could be doing more work. It could be Natalie and I getting a chance to spend a few minutes actually having adult conversation, not having to parent for the moment. Same thing, though, either reading or that's also a time like that's my time where I'm usually on my phone again, whether it's emails or social media or responding to the 50 text messages that I hadn't responded to, which I'm bad at that. So if I owe you a text back, I'll get to you, I promise.
It's coming.
But yeah, I mean, it's all that's just part of the wind down. That's become part of the routine. And to me, like, even when I'm, doing emails on my phone or on the computer, like, that's like chill time for me. That is winding down, decompressing. I spend all day long with people, talking with people, mentoring people. So getting that time, and I'm a highly extroverted person. So, maybe 30-minute window of just having me time is enough for me.
Mhm.
And then when my head hits the pillow, it's 10 seconds. I'm out. And,
You're not
it's
talking-
less than
You're
that
not
for
talking to
Natalie.
Natalie, keeping her awake.
No, she's yelled at me enough times to not do that anymore.
I feel like if you're constantly like overstimulated, you're not recovering, and without recovery, you burn out. And yeah, I think winding down is a huge, huge thing to incorporate. Because I mean, these right here, these also, they control you,
Mhm.
So, but I mean, what you do, putting them away right when you get home is the best thing to do.
Mhm.
So, we're going right into number 10. Be flexible but consistent. Life happens. Things will come up, but that doesn't mean you throw your whole routine out the window. You talked about earlier about pivoting. Also stay adaptable while keeping non-negotiables in your place. The goal isn't perfection, it's consistency over time. So,
Yeah, I like the mindset of bend but don't break.
yeah.
You become too rigid in your habits and your routines. It can drive you absolutely insane. And
Mhm.
I've been there. It drives me insane. It drives Natalie insane. And so for me, it's a big focal point, because especially when it comes to like diet, nutrition, workout, like it can almost become, religious. And when things don't go to plan, like it'll irk me, it'll make me feel a certain way, and it just throws things off. It makes, the time being around me unpleasant. So I've really tried to focus on just learning to always be able to find joy no matter what the situation is. That's a really hard thing to do.
Yep.
But, at the end of the day, I don't want that to be something that my kids remember. And, I think happiness is what we're all pursuing. And so letting yourself get sideways over, something silly as, missing a meal or like it's not gonna kill you.
Yeah.
If you're consistent, like you're right back on the next day. So
Just figuring it out.
I mean, it's gotten so bad to the point where like the family sits down for dinner and my daughter's made comments of like, "Dad, why don't you eat what we eat?" And that's kind of a hard thing to explain
Yeah.
to an 8-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
but they see it. And so I've gotten better at, and my wife cooks really healthy food, but it's like if it didn't fit perfectly into my macros, then I was just going to make my own thing. So I've gotten better with that.
They see everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the last one. Keep it simple and sustainable. At the end of the day, if your routine isn't simple, you won't stick with it. I don't overcomplicate mine at all, and you probably don't do yours either. I focus on what truly moves the needle, makes me better every day, makes me feel good day after day. But, like we just said, there's some things that happen during the day that don't go as planned. You have to pivot and figure it out, but don't overcomplicate it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the number one thing I can say. Because if you do, you're just going to mentally drain yourself, and you're not going to want to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I've kind of tried to live by the quote of there's beauty in simplicity.
Yeah.
And, so many people they'll listen to this podcast and be like, oh my gosh, those 11 things, like, where do I even start? And I think it's just that. Like, you have to start somewhere. And then once you, lock in one habit, you add another one. And that may take you a year, or who knows?
Yeah.
I was just having a conversation with an individual the other day where they were talking about how, like, they're their own worst enemy, and because they feel like they have so far to go. And I'm like, it's true. You do have a long way to go, but like it starts by taking the first step.
Yep.
And it typically takes longer than what you think it's going to. But if you continue to show up every single day, doing one simple thing over time, right? Compound interest, it's going to make a big difference in the end.
People
And
are
so-
impatient. That's why.
Because
They want it now.
yeah, and then other people will take it the other way where they'll completely flood their calendars and their day and try and do a million different things and all these crazy morning routines, and it becomes overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
And so my advice there was like, don't confuse movement with progress.
Yeah.
Like just because you're doing all these things doesn't mean that you're taking any steps closer to where you want to be, because they may not be the right things that work for you. So keep it simple.
That's it.
That's it.
Don't overcomplicate it. But that's it. That's 11 habits to keep you locked in and on track for life, basically. But like we said, these are what work for us. That's what
Mhm.
works for Braxton. So basically, if you don't have a routine, you can figure it out, one at a time and stack them from there.
Let's recap these
Yeah,
one more
go
time here
ahead.
for you guys. So number 1 is plan your routine the night before. 2 is start your day with purpose. 3 is move your body first thing in the morning. 4 is hydrate and fuel your body. 5 is mindset work, feed your brain. 6 is create non-negotiable work blocks. 7, commit 100%, no plan B. 8 is build in reflection and adjustments. 9, stick to an evening wind down routine. 10, be flexible but consistent. And 11, keep it simple and sustainable.
And that is it. Before we go, if this episode helped you guys, let us know. Share it, tag us. And yeah, let's keep pushing forward. But until the next time, we're out of here.
We'll see you.